What part did you get? Do you want to go over lines together? My part's not very big, but I know how to work a scene. As an actor in both church and school plays from a young age of maybe 4 up to 19 at the Christian undergrad I attended right out of high school, I spent a lot of time memorizing lines and going over scripts. It's not very different from what I do here, drafting, rehearsing, recording these videos. Not to break the fourth wall too badly. Hope you got screen insurance. When I was a camp counselor, I taught puppetry and coached the theater troupe each session to develop a play for their fellow campers. After a while, I'm sure others actors out there could attest, the memorization of the lines has less to do with reading over and over the words and more to do with understanding the character in that situation, that scene. And the rest kind of flows. Maybe there's a little bit of nuance with like accent or like a quirk to that character's personality. Besides that, what character do you think I'm channeling now? People are going to hear this next part as maybe like, oh my, Curtis believes in simulation theory or something like that. But let's do a little bit of a deeper dive. The movies of like The Matrix and Inception, the TV show Westworld, inspire me to look at things like our genetic codes, the situations we are forced to endure during our childhood, and a lot of the religious teachings we kind of just absorb without much say, again, when we are young, are like scripts, kind of, and almost feed us predetermined roles that we tend to fulfill for a good chunk of our lives sometimes. And this sounds super woo right now, and my husband knows I even hate woo stuff. So, like, let me explain where I'm going. In the pandemic, I got, like, into, like, Judaism more. That's what I'm currently doing with religion and stuff like that. More on, like, a solo route, not doing the temple stuff. But also, like, there's a lot of, like, worry with new participants at temples about like anti-Semitism and why are they joining, and like there's like a vetting process, and like, you know, I don't have a lot of money to tithe anyway, so like I'm just gonna do like Judaism at home. Anyway, back to this script. When I started getting deeper into my faith, I'll say it that way, it challenged me to look at and listen to the stories from my youth, from the Bible, right, with a new perspective. So there's a way of looking at the Torah, or the Bible, the Old Testament, the Bible for Christians, that's called Kabbalah. And people can roll their eyes, whatever, but I'm just going to talk to you what this says. Kabbalah says that truth is underneath the words of the Torah. If we just get stuck at the dots and the squiggles, which are still super important, but like in Hebrew there's lots of dots and squiggles that differentiate like a letter from another letter, or like a sound from another sound, which would change the meaning of like a passage, right? And then sort of the same as definitely with Arabic in the Quran, and even less so with like Latin scripts like in the Bible. But anyway, all that's to say, the true meaning, though, is beneath it, not in that. And I don't wear a red string or anything, so it's not like I'm drinking that Kool-Aid or anything if you're worried. But religious ideas that mean something, they have staying power. Anyway, what's my next line anyway? Where was I? Right. We choose our own adventures in life. These scripts we have, they're merely suggestions. And they don't always work out. There are always unpredictable hiccups and even the most daring attempts to fulfill a Buddha, Krishna, Moses, next great prophet type of script. And actually most scripts have a lot of side characters that are incredibly spin-off potential all over. Come on now. For us fellow Jews or others who know the Old Testament, the Bible well, Rahab, Mordecai, goodness gracious. But those aren't full characters. We know like a good one scene with them in it. We can like spin it our own way. But even with all the historic and cultural significance, we still have to fill out the rest of that script. I love Purim, by the way, guys. Just saying. Don't get boxed in, though. Know the script. And then leave it in the text.